Hi, my name is Ravi Annaswamy. I'm a computer scientist and also an AI/ML enthusiast. Um, I've been following OpenAI's GPT-3 for more than a year now, and daily. And this weekend, I started trying out ChatGPT. Found it very fascinating. I wanted to share some sessions of my experiments with it, so that, I mean, it's not very formal, but I just wanted to share some interesting observations. So the first session, we start with my experiments with music. Let me first establish the goals of this presentation. The goals of the experiment, first of all, is to answer the following questions. Does ChatGPT understand music at all? Can it create even simple tunes? Secondly, does it know ABC musical notation? I'll tell you what it is if you don't know in the next slide. Finally, the reason I asked this question is today morning I really wanted to write a ABC to MIDI converter in Python. I thought, why not try if GPT is able to do that? So this experiment answers all the four questions, and also some important insights that I gained personally. As a background, ABC music notation is nothing but a way to write out, as you see here, write out the notes as they are in measures in a plain text form, specifying the title, the meter, the key, G major, for example, and you can create a tune book. And there are software that can take the ABC notation and render it into score, beautiful score. You can go here at abcnotation.com tunes to see examples of that. Not only that, there are ABC players which can play the tunes. So since GPT is a text machine, I want to know, has it learned by browsing through ABC archives? Has it seen ABC? If so, has it understood the grammar of ABC? Can it generate that? That was my first question. So I opened up my ChatGPT client, which you can register by going to OpenAI, and you can get a free account for now, trial account. I asked, hey, print an example ABC music file. So this is my question. The response came up immediately. Here is an example of ABC music file. And you see here that it actually prints out an example. And this example is not from the ABC notation page, right? And it also describes, it's not just print out some ABC-like text. It explicitly says what the meanings of the various things. So you can see here it says, that describes a song called My Song. So he knows that T means my song. It knows that key of G. So the K means key. And 4/4 is actually time signature. The M stands here for meter. So it actually knows that, and it knows the vertical lines indicate measures, and the colons indicate repeats. So it pretty much even describes, but it could have just picked it up from ABC pages. There are tons of ABC description pages. So even this could have come by memorizing. Is this a real song? That was my next question in the experiment. Is it a real tune? So what I did, I have a freeware called EasyABC, where you can paste the generated text. And if it's a valid text, it actually renders it and you can play it. And yes, it plays. But you see something very interesting. If you play it, you would notice that it is just a series of quarter notes, slow quarter notes. And you would notice by playing, it just says, ah, ra, 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 ra. three notes repeat, G, B, and D, which are the chordal tones from the G major chord. They keep repeating. So it's pretty much an uninteresting in some sense, but melodic. Uh, Even though it seems like uninteresting, in fact, this is one of the exercises given to new composers to just start composing in chordal tones in basic measure. So probably ChatGPT doesn't pay too much attention to the variety in this music. It's just creating some example, and it's actually melodic. So that was I was surprised to see that. So the first question gets answered. Yes, it knows the ABC notation, but I want to dig a little deeper. Since this is a very slow, boring tune, I ask it, can you please increase the tempo? In fact, if you wanted to see how this tune actually sounds, so I want to play you so that why I'm asking for the tempo increase. I hope you can hear this. It plays the chordal tones from G major in a very, very periodic sequence, can put you to sleep, maybe a lullaby. So I go back and ask, can you increase the tempo? Immediately, ChatGPT gives three answers. You say, yes, you can increase the tempo of an ABC music file by doing either changing the meter value, change it from a 4/4 meter to a 2/2 meter, so that every duration of each beat gets half. That way, it doubles the tempo. Clever. Or I have indicated L as quarter note. You can make it eighth note. That way, again, you can double the tempo. Third way, there is a Q colon for tempo specification. So you can directly specify the beats per minute or BPM. That's very nice that it knows this and it's able to answer. But I want it to really do it. So I'm asking it, can you please manipulate the music? Can you double the tempo of the my song posted above? And immediately it says, yes, it can be done. And you can see here, it has increased decreased the note length to 1/2 and the measure as a 2/2. And you can see here that the new one actually is double fast when it plays. I'm very, very happy that, in other words, it it knows enough about what to change when. So a sign of intelligence is not in being able to do what you know how to do, but how to alter your responses in terms of changing. In other words, the more tiny changes you can make to create tiny effects or big effects, that's a mark of some level of intelligence of what you're talking about. So I'm really impressed so far. Okay, now back to my task of, can it write a ABC to MIDI converter? So can you create me a Python program to read a file containing a tune in ABC notation and create a MIDI file? A big part is how clear are you able to specify. But what I found is you don't have to be really very precise and complete. In fact, if you leave it a little bit vague, a chat GPT even fills in what needs to be done rather than you giving some wrong information and more detail that's not precise enough or clear and accurate enough. So yes, it immediately, within a couple of seconds, it starts typing. Um, it imports two packages, one for reading MIDI, writing MIDI, one for reading ABC, and it starts saying, hey, I'm going to open the ABC into a string and I'm going to parse it. Here is the full code. So import the two packages, open the tune ABC, and then read it into a string. Then use a ABC library to parse the string into a tune, which is a list of notes. But here it says music 21 stream object, but it has not imported music 21, etc. But let's keep going, see what happens. So then create an empty MIDI file, go through these notes, add them one by one to the track, and save the MIDI file. So it seems like a very good plan. And then the code generated has got very, very detailed comments. I'm really impressed by that. Of course, it has learned it by browsing through people who have done similar tasks in different places. Now, it also gives an explanation of what it does, and it says, hey, by the way, if you don't have these two packages, you can pip install them, and this is how you call them. Wow, that's nice. Okay, but does the code work? I open up a Jupyter terminal, a notebook, and pasted this. Uh-oh, no. It says there is no module made MIDI. Okay, I tried to pip install. It says there is no Python package called MIDI. So was ChatGPT just bluffing, making it up along the way? I know that there is a package called Mido, MIDO, for parsing MIDI files. So my initial temptation was I can go back and change this to Mido and see if it works. But then I said, wait, let me go back to GPT because GPT is supposed to be an intelligent agent. Let me give that as a feedback. I went back and said, hey, there is no Python package called MIDI. Can you suggest an alternative? And then, to my surprise, ChatGPT says, hey, the MIDI package that I mentioned in my previous response does not exist. However, there are several Python packages that can be used to work with MIDI files, Python MIDI and Mido. I know both of these libraries and GPT knows them too. And then it rewrites this code to now import Mido instead of MIDI and then use that for that. I'm like, wow. Now, this kind of improvement was not possible in the raw GPT-3, but it's possible in the chat GPT-3, where prompt and response can come in a sequence. So it can fix its mistakes. I can give feedback on what is missing. Yes. Does this code work? Again, there is one more error in the ABC module. So I come back. I didn't notice the fact that it says that the module ABC does not have parse. But I said, hey, there is no module called ABC. Can you please fix the issue? And then this time GPT writes a third version of the converter. Here it says, I can use a Music 21 package that can provide tools for parsing ABC notation. So, and then I can use Mido to write the MIDI. Very good plan. And then it writes the code. This time the code works. I'm able to open the code in my simple, speedy MIDI file browser and player. It's perfectly formed one. It plays very well. I'm pretty happy now. I got what I wanted within about 10 to 15 minutes starting the session this morning. Now, there are certain interesting observations I want to share. So I'm going to take a brief minute to play back my music for a minute, and then we'll get back to the insights. Okay, let's continue. The first one, I noticed that in the response, ChatGPT apologizes for mistakes. It said, hey, in my previous response, I mentioned the ABC module, which does not exist. This was a mistake on my part, and I apologize for the confusion. Now, when did it learn to apologize? Whether they actually programmed some apology? I don't think so. It probably picked it up a little bit in Stack Overflow exchanges, maybe something like that. But either way, it's a nice touch. And then at the end of that section prompt result, it again says, once again, I apologize for any confusion caused by my previous mistake. I hope this updated information is helpful. It was a nice touch. Secondly, why was ChatGPT wrong 2 times? This is again my conjecture. ChatGPT's attention is not perfect. It's not complete. Just like human attention too, right? We when humans write programs, they make mistakes or they miss out pieces, they come back and fix that. That's the whole idea of programming, is you can write piece by piece and pull it together, fix gaps, make a big software. So in some sense, almost like a pseudocode or a partial working solution, but it is the beauty is ChatGPTs go back to review, fix specific details. That is something new insight I'm getting here, is or something that I saw firsthand, is that. Now, that gives a lot of implications. Number one, do not treat a chatbot like ChatGPT or any other chatbot or even any AI as an oracle or God that will give you the perfect solutions. Don't expect that. In fact, it's better that you don't have such a perfect one, because the more you trust it, the more you're likely, if it makes a mistakes, you'll be caught off guard. So do not try to make GPT to be perfect. Do not expect it to be perfect. But at the same time, do not dismiss the chatbot as a dumb fool. For example, when I first asked for MIDI and it used MIDI and it didn't work, I could have just said, "Ha, this is just spewing out some useless code." I went back and said, "Hey, wait a second. There is no package called MIDI." And then that specific feedback allowed the AI to refine something in that code. So it knew which part needs to be fixed. So treat it as an interactive assistant who can make mistakes. Deeper still, treat all outputs from any AI as just opinions and possible wrong ideas until they are tested against reality. This is true not just for AI, but for human beings too, right? The whole advent of modern science is when people realize that the brains can come up with thoughts and ideas. You have to treat them as un what I'm saying is without basis until you really experiment against reality, hold on to the ones that prove to be true. Same thing is very much to be important. So do not expect that GPT will become a perfect engine. Don't even ask for it. I don't think we should ask for. Let it get better and better so that its initial prompts are less crazy than before. But never forget that it is never to be taken as is. It's not never going to be like a calculator, like a mathematical engine, or even other computer software written based on rationality and logic. It's probabilistic, like a human being thinking, right, at the best. So my guideline is treat GPT as a confused genius. Guide it and use it, but do not be guided by it. Do not be driven by it, or do not be, I think I've spoken too long. Uh, I had a question. How did OpenAI even do this thing? Because GPT-3 has two major limitations. It is just a next token predictor. In fact, I said just a next token predictor, not in a derogatory way. Just by predicting what token comes next, what word comes next, what word comes next, in order to even answer that question, GPT has to learn about so many concepts and facts in order to get to that. That's very powerful. But the biggest problem here is the training of GPT does not have enough feedback on a directionality or the total prompt response that it has provided. That is what ChatGPT has solved. They give feedback based on an entire prompt output using reinforcement learning. And then, based on that, the generative system gets some clue. It's almost like adversarial training, where you can think of GPT's, Chat GPT's thing. And it's, again, these are all my non-technical kind of conceptual way of viewing it. You can think of the RLPs acting like an adversarial trainer, which gives feedback. So it's almost like a GAN-like functionality over GPT-3. Second biggest issue is um, the GPT-3 at its best have 4K to 8K tokens. It started with 2K tokens, but I think the later versions may be 4K tokens and so on. The window is limited. But I think, from based on what I've looked at, or what my guess is, I wish, they don't. I don't think they even pass the 8K tokens from the long stream of whatever I have been typing and it has been. No, I think they have found a clever way to embed the previous interaction into a single context vector or a thought vector, then which gets updated with each interaction, just like an RNN maintains a mental state. I've noticed that if I have asked a GPT a few questions about medicine, and then I ask, "Can you write me code?" It says, "No, you have to go to a coding expert." That's amazing. That means that whatever interaction we are having are getting added to the so-called, I mean, I don't want to call it mental state, but it's what it is, the thought state or the state of information state of the context vector of the GPT. So this ability to provide continuous context and refining of responses and prompts in the real time takes GPT-3 to a whole new level. And I think it's a great gift to humanity right now. It will become a new paradigm. It's a very useful tool already. I have one suggestion to OpenAI. You have millions of users who are now trial using it as a trial. requests users to mark at least a few of the responses as wow, cool, oops, and dumb, like a level of 1 to 5. That probably can be used as a powerful reinforcement signal to further tune. So that's some thought I had. Again, this is the strength of OpenAI. Thanks to the OpenAI research team who came up with the model, but more importantly, the engineering team, which is able to scale it up and serve it so well. The interface is such a pleasure to use. And I have used a shared GPT Chrome extension to capture the transcript of the session for my own study. And you can actually go and you can, by clicking the link and put it on the description, you can actually go and see the entire actual session, unedited section, session from me, my experiment here. Again, final thanks is for you for your time, and you have a nice day.